In a bright and busy room of the Galactic Council, alien leaders gathered to discuss a serious matter. They had been watching Earth closely. The humans were strong, clever, and full of surprises. But there were also rumors of war and misunderstandings. The Council knew they needed to act fast to prevent a conflict that could destroy both worlds. As the Council members debated, an alien named Zephyr sat quietly in the back. He was young and eager to prove himself. With his big, round eyes and shimmering green skin, he looked out at the other ambassadors. They were all experienced and wise. Zephyr felt small and nervous. The thought of talking to humans filled him with fear. Finally, the council leader, a tall and proud alien named Orin, spoke up. "We need someone brave to go to Earth," he declared. "This mission is important. We must show the humans we come in peace." All eyes turned to Zephyr. "You, Zephyr! You will go to Earth as our ambassador," Orin said, pointing at him. The other ambassadors gasped, and Zephyr's heart raced. He felt both excited and terrified. He had dreamed of being an ambassador, but now it was real. He was going to a planet filled with fierce beings. Could he handle it? As the council discussed the details, Zephyr listened closely. He learned that he would need to meet with Earth's leaders and talk about peace. "Stay calm," he told himself. "You can do this." But deep inside, his stomach twisted with fear. What if the humans did not want to listen? What if they saw him as a threat? After the meeting, Zephyr walked outside, his mind racing. The stars twinkled above him, but they felt far away. He had to prepare for his journey. He gathered his things and packed his bags. As he placed his favorite items inside, a small photo of his family and a few gifts for the humans, he tried to push away his worries. On the shuttle to Earth, Zephyr sat alone. The engines hummed softly, but his heart raced loudly. He thought about the stories he had heard about Earth. Some aliens said humans were wild and unpredictable. Others said they were kind, but could also be violent. He shivered at the thought. What if he angered them? When the shuttle landed, Zephyr stepped out and took a deep breath. He was in a busy city. The air smelled strange and the sounds were loud. Cars zoomed by and people shouted to each other. His eyes widened with amazement and fear. He took a few steps forward, trying to blend in. But humans noticed him. They stared at his green skin and big eyes, whispering and pointing. Zephyr felt their eyes on him. What if they don't like me, he thought. As he walked, he passed a small vendor on the street. The vendor was an older human with a big smile. "Hey there, green guy! Want a hot dog?" he called out. Zephyr blinked. He had no idea what a hot dog was. The vendor laughed, and Zephyr felt embarrassed. No thank you," he said, unsure of how to respond. The vendor continued to smile. "You're missing out." "It's delicious." Zephyr forced a smile and waved goodbye. He felt more lost than ever. How could he talk to these humans? They seemed friendly but also confusing. He walked away, hoping to find a safe place to think. As he wandered through the city, Zephyr noticed humans helping each other. A group of children played happily in a park. An elderly woman struggled with her bags, and two young people rushed to help her. Zephyr realized that despite his fears, there was kindness in humanity. With each step, he felt a mix of fear and curiosity. Maybe Earth was not so scary after all. But the mission ahead weighed heavily on his mind. He had to find a way to communicate with these strange beings and convince them of peace. Zephyr took a deep breath and straightened his back. "I can do this," he whispered to himself. "I am an ambassador." With determination, he set off to meet the humans, ready to face whatever challenges lay ahead. As Zephyr walked deeper into the heart of the city, he felt both amazed and overwhelmed. The bright lights and loud sounds surrounded him. People hurried past, some chatting, others laughing. Zephyr had never seen anything like it. He tried to keep calm, but his heart raced with every step. Suddenly, he spotted a group of children playing in a nearby park. They were running and shouting, their laughter ringing out like music. Zephyr paused, intrigued by their joy. He had never seen such happiness. The children chased each other, some holding colorful toys. He felt a warmth in his chest, realizing that not all humans were frightening. But just as he began to relax, a loud noise startled him. A car honked loudly as it zipped past, narrowly missing a man crossing the street. The man yelled, "Watch where you're going!" and waved his arms in frustration. Zephyr jumped back, his heart pounding again. He thought, is this how humans act all the time? So loud and chaotic? Feeling nervous, he decided to find a quieter place. He spotted a small cafe with outdoor seating. The smell of fresh coffee and baked goods drifted through the air, and his stomach growled at the delightful scents. Taking a deep breath, he walked inside, hoping to blend in. Inside the cafe, the atmosphere was warm and cozy. Humans chatted at tables, their voices soft and friendly. Zephyr approached the counter, where a young woman with bright blue hair smiled at him. "What can I get for you?" she asked. Zephyr blinked, unsure of what to say. I don't know what to order," he stammered. The woman looked confused, but then laughed lightly. "No problem. We have great pastries. How about a muffin?" I will try that," Zephyr replied, feeling relieved. He watched as she picked a fluffy muffin and placed it on the counter. "Here you go. Enjoy," she said with a cheerful smile. "Thank you," he replied, smiling back. For the first time, he felt a little at ease. He took his muffin and found a small table outside. As he sat down, he carefully examined the strange food. It was round and smelled sweet. He took a bite and his eyes widened. It was delicious. As he enjoyed the muffin, he watched the humans around him. A group of friends sat nearby, sharing stories and laughing loudly. They seemed so comfortable with each other. Zephyr felt a pang of envy. He wished he could be like them, relaxed and happy. After finishing his muffin, Zephyr stood up, ready to explore more. He decided to visit the park where he had seen the children playing. As he walked, he felt the sun warm his skin. The laughter of children grew louder as he approached the park. When he arrived, he saw the children playing a game that looked like a mix of tag and hide and seek. They ran in circles, giggling and shouting. Zephyr smiled at their energy. Suddenly, one little girl, who was wearing a bright yellow dress, spotted him. She paused, her eyes wide with curiosity. "Hey, who are you?" she shouted, pointing at him. Zephyr froze, unsure of how to respond. The other children stopped and turned to look at him. They whispered among themselves, and he felt their curious eyes on him. He cleared his throat and said, "I am Zephyr, from far away." The children's eyes widened even more. "Far away? Like outer space?" one boy exclaimed, bouncing on his toes. "Yes, very far," Zephyr replied, feeling a little braver. The children exchanged excited glances. "Wow, can you fly?" another girl asked, her eyes sparkling with wonder. Zephyr chuckled softly, feeling more at ease. "Yes, I can fly in my ship. Can we see it?" the boy begged. Zephyr felt a rush of happiness. They were not afraid of him at all. "Maybe one day," he said, smiling. The children cheered, and their laughter filled the air. Zephyr realized that humans could be curious and friendly. He felt a sense of belonging wash over him. Perhaps this mission would not be so scary after all. As the sun began to set, casting a warm glow over the park, Zephyr knew he was starting to see Earth in a new light. Maybe, just maybe, he could make friends here. The day of the big meeting arrived, and Zephyr felt a mix of excitement and nerves. He stood in front of a large building where Earth's leaders were gathering. The sun shone brightly, but Zephyr's heart raced as he imagined what would happen inside. This was his chance to show the humans that he came in peace. As he entered the building, Zephyr noticed how different it was from the busy streets outside. The walls were tall and adorned with flags representing various countries. People in suits rushed around, talking seriously. Zephyr adjusted his formal clothes, which felt strange on his alien body. He hoped he looked presentable enough. He was led to a large room filled with important-looking humans. They sat around a long table discussing various topics. When Zephyr walked in, all eyes turned to him. A hush fell over the room. He felt small and exposed, like a bug under a magnifying glass. "Welcome, Ambassador Zephyr," said a woman with glasses, her voice warm but firm. "We have been waiting for you." "Thank you," Zephyr replied, trying to sound confident. He stepped forward, glancing at the serious faces around the table. Some looked curious, while others seemed skeptical. The woman introduced herself as President Carter. "We want to understand your mission here. Why should we trust you and your people?" Zephyr took a deep breath. "I come from a place far away. We have seen the beauty of your planet and the strength of your people. We wish to be friends." As he spoke, he noticed a man with a frown. "How can we trust you? We have heard stories of aliens taking over," he said sharply. Zephyr felt his heart sink. "I understand your fears," he replied carefully. "But I assure you we come in peace. Our goal is to share knowledge and build a better future together." The room was silent for a moment. Zephyr glanced around, trying to gauge their reactions. Some seemed interested, while others remained doubtful. President Carter nodded thoughtfully. Please continue. Zephyr smiled, feeling a bit more at ease. He explained the benefits of cooperation, sharing stories about technology and resources that could help both worlds. He spoke of exploring the universe together, of learning from one another. As he talked, he saw the humans exchanging glances. He hoped his words were making an impact. Just as he felt the tension easing, he suddenly tripped over his own feet. The coffee cup in his hand flew from his grip, splashing coffee all over the table. "Oh no!" Zephyr exclaimed, embarrassment flooding his face. Laughter erupted in the room. The serious atmosphere turned lighter. A young man at the end of the table grinned. That's one way to make an impression. Zephyr felt his cheeks turn red. "I am so sorry," he stammered, fumbling to clean up the mess with a napkin. President Carter chuckled. "It's all right, Zephyr. Accidents happen." "It shows you're human after all!" Zephyr looked up, relieved. The laughter had broken the ice. He took a moment to collect himself before continuing. "Thank you for understanding. I really want to build a bridge between our worlds." The humans nodded, and the young man spoke again. "What do you suggest we do first?" Zephyr's eyes brightened. "I believe we can start with a cultural exchange. We can share our traditions, music, and stories. This way we can learn to trust each other." "That sounds like a great idea," President Carter replied, a smile spreading across her face. "We can host an event to introduce both our cultures." Zephyr felt a rush of hope. Yes, this could be the start of a strong friendship. As they discussed the details, Zephyr noticed the atmosphere shifting. The humans were more relaxed now, laughing and sharing ideas. He realized that despite his earlier fears, they were starting to accept him. After the meeting, a few humans approached him. "You did great, Zephyr," said the young man who had laughed earlier. "Don't worry about the coffee. It made the meeting memorable." "Thank you," Zephyr replied, feeling a wave of gratitude. "I was so nervous." "Everyone gets nervous. Just be yourself," the young man encouraged. "Let's grab a coffee. This time I'll pay." As they walked together, Zephyr felt a sense of belonging. Maybe this mission was going to be all right after all. Perhaps he could find true friends among the humans. With a newfound sense of hope, he smiled and followed his new friend, ready for the adventures that lay ahead. The sun rose brightly over the city as Zephyr prepared for the cultural exchange event. Excitement buzzed in the air. He had spent days planning with the humans, and now it was finally happening. The park would be filled with music, food, and laughter, a true celebration of their two worlds coming together. As he arrived at the park, Zephyr marveled at the colorful decorations. Banners fluttered in the breeze, and tables were set up with delicious food from both Earth and his home planet. Zephyr felt a sense of pride. This was the moment he had hoped for, a chance to show the beauty of his culture and build friendships. But as he wandered around, he noticed a group of humans gathered near the stage, whispering urgently. Their faces were tense, and Zephyr's heart began to race. He approached them cautiously. "What's wrong?" he asked, trying to keep his voice steady. One woman turned to him, her eyes wide with concern. "There's been a threat! A group of people are planning to disrupt the event. They believe aliens will take over Earth." Zephyr felt a chill run down his spine. "What can we do?" "We need to keep everyone safe," the woman replied, glancing at the crowd that was beginning to gather. "We don't know how serious this threat is." Panic rose in Zephyr's chest. He had come to Earth to build connections, not to cause trouble. "We must inform President Carter and the security team immediately." The group quickly moved toward the main stage, where President Carter was speaking to the crowd. As they reached her, Zephyr's voice trembled slightly. "President Carter, there is a threat to the event. We need to ensure everyone's safety." Carter's expression shifted from joy to concern. "What do you mean, Zephyr? A group of people wants to disrupt our gathering because they fear aliens. We must act quickly." President Carter nodded, her eyes scanning the crowd. "Thank you for telling me. I will notify security and ensure the event continues safely. Please help me keep everyone calm." Zephyr took a deep breath, trying to remain calm himself. He nodded, determined to help. As security teams moved through the crowd, Zephyr worked with the humans to reassure everyone. "This event is about friendship and peace. We are here to celebrate together." But just as he began to feel some relief, a loud noise erupted from the back of the park. A group of protesters burst onto the scene, holding signs that read, "Earth for humans," and "No aliens allowed." They shouted angrily, causing chaos among the gathered crowd. Zephyr's heart raced again as he saw the fear in people's eyes. He stepped forward, trying to maintain control. "Please, we mean no harm. We are here to share and learn." But the protesters only grew louder. "Get away from our planet," one of them yelled, pointing at Zephyr. "You're not welcome here!" Zephyr felt a wave of despair wash over him. He had hoped for acceptance, but instead he faced hostility. Just then, he noticed a child from the park. The same little girl in the yellow dress who had asked about him. She was standing at the edge of the crowd, tears streaming down her cheeks. "Why are they shouting?" she cried. "I thought we were friends." Her innocent question pierced Zephyr's heart. He rushed toward her, kneeling down to meet her gaze. "It's okay. Some people are scared, but we are friends. We are here to show that we care." The girl nodded, her eyes still wide with fear. "But they are so loud." Zephyr turned back to the crowd, feeling a surge of courage. "Listen to me," he shouted, his voice firm but gentle. "I understand your fears. But I am not here to take anything from you. I want to learn and share. Let us show each other kindness." As he spoke, he noticed some people starting to listen. A few even lowered their signs, intrigued by his words. President Carter stepped up beside him, her voice steady. "Everyone, please. This is a moment to celebrate our differences. Let's focus on what brings us together, not what pulls us apart." Slowly, the noise began to fade as more people started to listen. The tension in the air began to lift, but Zephyr knew they were not out of danger yet. He continued to speak, pouring his heart into every word. "Let us celebrate our cultures. We can learn from each other. I promise to be a good friend to Earth and its people." The protesters hesitated, some exchanging uncertain glances. Zephyr hoped his words would change their minds. As the crowd began to calm down, he took a deep breath. Perhaps there was still a chance for peace. With the help of President Carter and the crowd, they might turn this moment around. Zephyr stood tall, ready to fight for the friendship he so desperately wanted to build. The chaos in the park began to settle as Zephyr spoke passionately about friendship and understanding. He could see the crowd's tension easing, their expressions shifting from anger to curiosity. President Carter stood by his side, encouraging the dialogue that was starting to form. "Thank you, everyone, for listening," she said, her voice calm and firm. "We are here to celebrate the beauty of our different cultures. Let's focus on what we can learn from each other." Slowly, a few people from the crowd began to step forward. A young woman with bright red hair spoke up. "What can we learn from you, Zephyr? What makes your world special?" Zephyr's heart raced. This was the moment he had hoped for. "In my world, we value harmony with nature. We have learned to live in balance with our environment. We believe in sharing knowledge, and we celebrate creativity and art." As he spoke, the crowd listened closely, their earlier hostility fading. He could see some of the protesters lowering their signs, exchanging glances of interest. The little girl in the yellow dress watched him with wide eyes, her expression hopeful. "Can you show us some of your art?" asked another voice from the crowd. Zephyr smiled brightly. "Yes, we have beautiful music and dances. Would you like to see some?" "Absolutely," a man shouted, now looking excited. President Carter took a step forward. "Let's turn this event into a true exchange. We can showcase both human and alien talents. How about a performance?" Cheers erupted from the crowd, and Zephyr felt a wave of relief wash over him. The energy in the park had transformed. What had started as a moment of fear and anger was now turning into a celebration. "Great idea," Zephyr exclaimed. "I can show you our traditional dance from my home planet. It tells a story of unity and friendship." As preparations began, Zephyr felt a sense of urgency to show the humans his culture. He quickly contacted his crew, asking them to bring instruments and costumes. The stage was set, and soon the park buzzed with activity. Zephyr practiced his dance moves behind the stage, his heart racing with excitement and nerves. He remembered how the humans had welcomed him, even when they were scared. Now he wanted to show them that they could trust him and his people. When it was finally time for his performance, Zephyr stepped onto the stage, wearing bright, flowing garments that shimmered in the sunlight. The crowd fell silent, their eyes glued to him. As the music started, Zephyr moved gracefully, his body flowing like water. He twirled and leaped, each motion telling a story of connection and love. The crowd watched in awe, captivated by the beauty of the performance. When the dance ended, the crowd erupted into applause. Zephyr beamed with joy, feeling a warm sense of acceptance wash over him. The little girl clapped her hands, her face lit up with delight. "Now it's our turn," shouted President Carter, stepping onto the stage with a group of humans behind her. They began to perform a traditional Earth dance full of energy and joy. The crowd joined in, laughter and cheers filling the air. Zephyr joined them, trying to mimic their moves. He stumbled at first, but the humans helped him, laughing and encouraging him. It was a beautiful sight, a mix of humans and an alien dancing together, united by a shared desire for friendship. After the performance, the atmosphere was filled with excitement. People began to mingle, sharing food and stories. Zephyr felt a sense of pride and relief. This was the moment he had dreamed of, a true cultural exchange that would bridge the gap between their worlds. As he wandered through the crowd, he overheard conversations full of laughter and understanding. Humans were asking questions about his culture, and he eagerly shared stories about his home. The little girl approached him again, her eyes sparkling. "I want to learn your dance, too. Can you teach me?" Zephyr smiled warmly.
Of course.
"Let's dance together." As they began to practice, Zephyr felt a profound sense of connection with the humans around him. They were no longer strangers but friends, bound by their shared experiences and dreams. That day, they had turned fear into understanding. Zephyr knew they were on the path to building a lasting friendship. As the sun set over the park, casting a warm glow on the gathering, Zephyr realized this was just the beginning. Together, they could create a brighter future, one filled with hope, unity, and understanding.